Hi, I'm Mindy Yoshikawa here with Sunny Studios 2023 holiday release. And up first, I have a darling new fall set called Turkey Day. It features two little pumpkins there, five adorable little turkeys, a little pie, a slice of pumpkin pie, a little mug there with hot cocoa, and some leaves, and a little hat, and little sayings there that can go in the little sign for that turkey, and then the coordinating dies as well. First up, I have a card featuring all five of the little turkeys in a mini slimline. This measures 6 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. And I grouped all the little guys there with the extra pumpkins and stamped the greeting warm autumn blessings and added the little stitches to the top and bottom of my card using a slimline die. And then I added the little cable knit background using our sweater weather paper. Up next is a Thanksgiving card, and this time I use a little cornucopia with the fruits and vegetables from our Bountiful Autumn stamps, and then added the little pattern paper there in the background and the gingham using our Critter Country paper. And then I added the little scallop mat there using our Frilly Frames hexagon dies, and then the little scallop there is from our eyelet border dies, eyelet lace, I believe, border dies. And then I added the little Happy Thanksgiving greeting from the Turkey Day on a curve in our new Brilliant Banner one die. And another Thanksgiving card with the little turkeys, this time using the frame from our comic strip speech bubble dies. And then in the background there, I used our new dotted diamond landscape dies, which pierces the background with the texture. And then I added my greeting to this little stitched oval from our stitched oval dies, and then just filled in the each of the little spaces with all those adorable turkeys. For this fall card, I combined the scarecrow and the little chicken and scarecrow from our Farm Fresh stamps. And then I used the little turkey and the little leaves and the greeting from our new Turkey Day, and the little hay box and the other chicken from our Clucky Chickens. And then I used the little crow there. One of the crows is from our Happy Harvest stamps, and the other one I believe is from Farm Fresh. And then I used the scalloped edge from our Frilly Frames polka dot dies, and then the polka dot in the background is from our Critter Country paper pack. And then lastly, I used our brand new Brilliant Banner 2 layering die there for my sentiment. Up next is a card also using the Turkey Day stamps, the cute little turkeys with the pumpkins in the foreground. The banner there is again our Brilliant Banner 2. And then for the background with the little mountains and the scene in the background there, it's the Country Scenes stamps with a border. And then I did the sunset, and then stamped the autumn blessings on a curve to match the banner. And then last, the Turkey Day stamps with a little cowgirl and the cowboy from our little buckaroo stamps. And then the pumpkins and the turkey and the little greeting there that already comes curved from our new Turkey Day stamps. And then the barn and the fence from our Barnyard Buddies. And then the outside, or in the little grass there, is from our Harvest Mice stamps. And then the outside scalloped edge there is using our Frilly Frame stripes. And I masked off the just inside that stitched line to ink up my sky and my grass using Tumble Glass Distress ink and Twisted Citron and Moodlawn. Up next, we have a new stamp set called Truckloads of Love, and it comes with a really adorable pickup truck there with a little dotted line to make the street, little wood slat sides. And then it comes with a banner, a bunting, and a flag, some presents, some pumpkins, some leaves, and some hearts, apples, and tomatoes, and a little tree. And then you can have little trailing hearts, leaves, or stars. And then 4 little critter drivers, and just a plethora of different punny sentiments to mix and match. My first card is a fall card I spelled out the word autumn using our Haley alphabet lowercase and uppercase dies. And then I paired it with our greetings word die from our slimline scallop frame set. It just matched beautifully. I didn't plan it that way when I designed our Haley alphabet die, and I just discovered it. So I was like, wow, awesome. They go so well together. So the little pickup truck with the pumpkins and the critter driver, of course, are from Truckloads of Love. And then the background with my little fall trees there is from our Country Scenes stamp set again. For this card, I started by inking up my background with, I believe, Wild Honey, transitioning through picked raspberry to some of the violets, and I had a little extra violet sky, so I trimmed that off and used it for the strip along the bottom, which I cut out using our slimline pennant dies. And then I stamped and die cut the little trees for my background using our Woodsy Autumn stamps. And then added the little hillside using our slimline nature border dies, and added the little leaves in the background. And I colored in the little window for my truck to match the background using a Copic marker to match those distress inks. Tried to line them up. And then I added the little rake and other pile of leaves from our fall scene stamps, and added that leaves are falling, autumn is calling, greeting from our Happy Harvest stamps, and put them on a little stitch pennant there from our fancy frame rectangle dies. And I love how it tied it all together. Up next is another fall card, this time using the barn and the little scene there from our Farm Fresh stamps, along with the greeting from Happy Autumn greeting from our Crisp Autumn stamps. And then I used the little crates of produce and such to put in my truck and outside my truck from the Truckloads of Love, along with the chick and chicken from our Clucky Chicken stamp set. And again, I stamped those little tufts of grass in my background using Harvest My stamps. Here is a Barbie-inspired truck from our Truckloads of Love, paired with the balloons from our Floating By stamps, and little presents colored to look like birthday presents, although you could also color them to look like Christmas presents. In my background, I die cut the little stitched clouds using our Fluffy Cloud dies, and added the houses to my background using our Scenic Route stamps. And then I heat embossed along the bottom the little stitched, I added the little bunny there from Balloon Rides, and added the stitching that I heat embossed using the little border set that comes with the set. I just repeatedly stamped it. Here is a Christmas card using the little husky with the trees and gifts to put in the back of the pickup. And I thought the tree in the set just really matched beautifully with our winter scenes border, so I used that. And then I inked in my sky using tumbled glass and spun sugar, and stacked my sentiment there from the set saying driving by to wish you a Merry Christmas. And you have the option to do it all in a row or stacked like I did here. And then I added the little glittery bits of Stickles glitter glue to give my little snowflakes and snow on my trees to give it a glittery effect. Next is a love theme card, perfect for Valentine's Day. I started by die cutting the row of hearts using our heartstring borders, and then added the stitching in Rick Rack Edge using our slimline basic border dies. And then I paired it with a little truck there with the hearts, trailing the hearts behind him, and the driver from our Balloon Ride stamps, and then stamped and heat embossed the words sending loads of love, but using the little speech bubble from our comic strip speech bubble dies. And then I added along the bottom a little striped print, aqua tone-on-tone print to match my pickup truck from our Sleek Stripes pattern paper pack. And I couldn't resist one last card for 4th of July. I know I'm way out of season, but I wanted to show all the seasons. So in the background, I stamped a little like hometown parade with the storefronts using our city street stamps, using tone on tone print there, and added the little scalloped buntings to the bottom, the same little buntings like I have on my truck. For my greeting, I stamped Happy 4th of July using our Happy Thoughts stamps, using the little pennants from our notebook photo corner dies, using the pattern paper from our classic gingham paper pack there. And then on the bottom, I used our star print paper from the surprise party paper pack. And it just tied together that whole like red, white, and blue and craft like hometown parade feel. And and I added the little doggy also from Balloon Rides. The Balloon Rides and the pets from Truckloads of Love are the same size. Up next is a new set called Bells and Bobbles. It comes with a tree branch, the words Merry Christmas, a little bow, the layered bell, and the layered bobble, as well as the words to spell out every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. It's been a little disjointed. You have to piece it all together because it just barely got it to squeeze on the stamp set, but it's all there. Up first, I have a card featuring those bells and the branches in the set. I did a very subtle stamping with the tone on tone where it's easier to see in person, but you got the wreath there from our winter wreaths and the little berries, which I added glossy accents to from our holiday greeting stamps, as well as the bow there. And then I added the Merry Christmas and cut it out using the coordinating dies, and then the bells, adding the little bits of glossy accents to each of the bell, I don't know what you call it, the little thing that goes back and forth in the bell. And then some little pink rhinestones there, little jewels, and that was the end of the card. Oh, and then I added the stitching along the edge there, popped it up using our stitched rectangle dies. Here's a beautiful rainbow card, rainbow Christmas ornaments hanging from the tree. I took the tree branch from our old faithful holiday style stamps, and I made this card actually like 6 or 7 years ago, and I just copied it. But I inked up my background there with broken china distress ink and used a little rainbow stripe of paper down the side using our Rainbow Bright, and added a little stitching using the ribbons and lace border dies there, and then added my little bows and bobbles with the set, as well as the little hangers from the holiday style. Stamped my greeting Happy Holidays with our holiday greeting stamp set and the coordinating dies. And then I added these little colorful drops. I believe that's what they're called. They are made of glass, and they have the painted bottoms, and they just really catch the light beautifully to look like little holiday lights on the tree. Here's another card using the bells and bobbles. This time I did spell out every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. And I tried to create that vintage look with the bell and the ornaments hanging from the tree, using there the tree branches on both the top and the side there, and framed them with the fancy frame rectangle dies there with a scalloped little frame, and added the baubles. And in the background, I used our new dotted diamond landscape dies there. And I started with white cardstock this time, ran it through my die cutting machine while it was still white, and then I inked over the top, which really accentuated those diamond print, and then added all my little jewels in 3 colors to look like Christmas lights. And then I added the metallic thread here using just like an embroidery floss, gold floss, and strung them through my ornaments to hang them. Here I have a card using that same bell from the Bells and Bobbles with the tree branch from that set, together with our new pretty poinsettia stamp. This set is only 3x4, so great price point, and it comes with a beautiful flower, 2 leaves, and the greeting Merry and Bright. And there's just so much you can do with this little set, so a lot of bang for your buck. For this card here, I repeated the flower 3 times, just twisting and turning it to look a little different, and then added that branch from the Bells and Baubles with the bow and the Merry Christmas. And then I added the frame again from our fancy frame rectangle dies together with that dotted diamond portrait die in my background. I masked off the portion inside my frame to turn it pink using worn lipstick. Add the little metallic thread again with the gold jewel. For this card featuring our pretty poinsettia stamps, I again used that dotted diamond portrait die in the background, fussy cut the word Merry and bright, popping it up with foam tape. I used our stitch circle dies to like nested at the same time, running them through my die cutting machine to create this little white ring to help me get my little wreath in a circular manner, I mean in the right circular shape, using our winter greenery dies and the leaves there from the pretty poinsettia. And then along the bottom I added this green gingham from our Joyful Holiday paper pack, and I just love, this is one of my favorites. Here's another beautiful Merry and Bright. For this particular card, I started by dry embossing the background using our Moroccan Circle 6x6 embossing folder, and then stamped and fussy cut the flowers. For these particular flowers, I'd actually, they were some of my early versions that I had kind of not gotten the layers perfectly right, and so the centers were a little off, and so I just covered that by using some of the enamel, like Windy Vecchi and enamel drops, and put them there, and then used it as like a glue to drop in my little jewels in the center there. And then I trimmed off the extra flowers and positioned them along the bottom, and then added the season's greetings, which I heat embossed using our inside greetings holiday stamps. Next up is non-traditional colors for Christmas, but I just love how it turned out. I used the dotted diamond landscape dies there in the background, and then I added the frame from our mini matte and tag 1 dies, and then added some pink poinsettias with some gold jewels in the center, and then added the metallic gold little twigs and sprigs, I don't know what you want to call these little vines, from our winter greenery, and the sort of gold metallic, it's actually called Hero Arts Bronze embossing powder for my Merry Christmas, which I cut out or stamped using our holiday greetings. So next up, for the pretty poinsettias, I paired it with the holly and the little faux buttons from our new woolen mitten dies, and the Felice Navidad from our new greeting stamps that come in a little 2x3 set, and our layered basket stamps, and then the little decorations along the bottom with the scallop and the ribbon are from our ribbon and lace border dies, and the buffalo plaid in the background was created using our 6x6 embossing folder called Buffalo Plaid. And I used an ink brayer and applied VersaFine black onyx ink to the surface of my embossing folder before gently laying my red cardstock into the folder, closing it, and running it through my die cutting machine to impress it with that plaid print. Here's a look at the new Felice Navidad 2x3 stamp set, which includes a little scroll and the little sparkles, although the coordinating die has only been designed to cut out the word just to keep the price point low and affordable for you. So I created a Christmas card with the Felice Navidad, pairing it with the cacti from our Looking Sharp stamps, and the Santa hats from our penguin party, and the candy cane stocking and gift from our Santa Claus Lane stamps. And then I used the little Rick Rack edge mat there from our mini mat and tag 4 dies, together with the pattern paper from our Joyful Holiday paper pack from last year. There's just something so happy and cute about little plants with their smiles. I love it. Next is our Holiday Hug stamp set, which features a really cute oversized bear together with a stocking, a little gift, cupcake, a hot cocoa, and a little scallop heart for him to hold like a Valentine. The word holiday hugs, you can just mix and match it with a bunch of different sentiments and the little snowflakes as well. You can say, like winter hugs, holiday greetings. And then the die cuts out either the option of just the bear or the bear with the hands. It's a separate die, so you don't have to have the bear always have his hands cut out. For this card here, I paired 3 of the bears holding the hot cocoa, gift, and stocking. And then I used the red and white and green and white scarves there to match the pattern paper, which I cut out using, I believe, our Joyful Holiday. Can't remember if it was that or the All Are Bright paper pack. They both have a candy cane stripe in them. But the paper pack is only 6 inches wide, so to hide the fact that I needed to make it longer, I just trimmed it there right along the diagonal, and it just blends in really well, and you can barely tell that it was pieced together. I added the holiday hugs there using the coordinating word dies in the set, and then stamped some of those snowflakes in a subtle pattern in my background. Here I have a holiday card, another one, this time using the rainbow scarf, and I mimicked it with the look of the rainbow background there using our frilly frame chevron dies. Those are retired, but we still have some in stock. I inked them up using Distress inks, and then added the rickrack edge there with our rickrack border dies. And the little snowflakes there. The one snowflake there is going to be our free die with any purchase this holiday season in our online store for retail customers. And then the little die is another snowflake we previously had that is now available for sale as part of our mini basic die set 2, I believe. And then a little thought bubble there from our comic strip speech bubble dies together with the winter hugs from the holiday hug stamp set. And then I colored with Copics my bear's scarf to match. This time I created a birthday card with the holiday hug, so it's not just limited for Christmas. Again, using the rainbow scarf, adding the cupcake from the set together with a little cherry from our birthday cats. This cupcake goes beautifully with those cupcakes in that set. And then I added the little gifts behind him, which depending on how you can color them, they can be birthday gifts or Christmas gifts. Added the little rainbow crepe paper streamers overhead, and the greeting there is from our Scrumptious Cupcakes birthday stamps, and then a little mat behind him, a little scallop mat using our mini mat and tag 1 dies. And then the polka dot, blue polka dot paper there is from our polka dot parade. For this card, I made a love themed card saying sending hugs. I added a little scalloped heart that he's holding, and made it, I actually designed this to match our stitched heart 2 dies and scalloped heart dies. I had this card in mind when I designed it, but I used the medium-sized heart here for my greeting, and I colored his heart that he's holding, of course, with Copic markers, but the other hearts were inked to match almost identically using different inks in my stash that were a similar color. And then I layered them together with the scalloped heart. And then in the background there, I used a diagonal grid print from our, I believe, classic gingham this one color comes from. And then I just colored his little scarf red and white to match the pink and red and white theme. He's cute for Valentine's Day, or just whenever you want to tell someone you love them. And next up is a card using the little gift, not mitten, stocking and hot cocoa mug, those same ones that I used in my first slimline card. This time all by themselves without any bear at all, because they're cute all on their own. I added the little polka dots to my stocking and to the little ribbon on my gift using a white gel pen. Just adds a little something. and then added the background prints using papers from both, I believe, our classic gingham and our gingham pastel paper packs. Added the little stitched frame there from our window quad, square dies, excuse me, and the little heat embossed greeting, warmest thoughts, is from our inside holiday greeting stamps. Up next, we have our new woolen mitten dies, which includes the overall shape of the mitten, the cuff, a little scallop border to go around the cuff, 3 different buttons with the little outside portions of the button to layer to make them look realistic, a little Fair Isle details, some stitches, a little veined poinsettia with a smaller portion to layer over the top to make it look more realistic. And then 2 little holly dies that look a lot like our winter greenery dies, but on a smaller scale, so they go great together. A beautiful snowflake, and yeah, I think that's everything. And these also go coordinate beautifully with our popular Santa's stocking die. They are very similar in shape. They both fit in an A2 envelope, and they can both hold like a gift card to go be tucked in. Great for giving gift cards in style. I actually think I had a gift card in here, and then I remembered I took it out, so I'm going to go grab it really quick. So here it is with the one inside. That's actually a little Sheridan room key, but it was what I had on hand here. So it's a little gift card. This opening allows for the adhesive on the sides with the gift card. So for this card, I added the hand stitching, but before that, I ran it through my die cutting machine repeatedly with that little like Fair Isle sweater type Nordic, I don't know what that is, a snowflake, a flower. Added the little stitching there above and below with a ruler and the red snowflake. Sewed on the little tiny mini buttons, and then added the cuff there, and then I added the adhesive on around the edge, around the back, so that it looks clean on the back, and also doesn't, if I was relying on that hand stitching, it's so close to the edge it might tear. Here is a little ivory cable knit sweater designed to stand upright there. I scored the bottom parallel to the bottom there so it would stand straight, and then I just added adhesive above the line and it becomes a little shaped card. I added the cable knit print or texture using our cable knit embossing folder, and then added the little scalloped edge there with the cuff, and added the poinsettia flowers and button there. Those are the elements that come with the set all used. And then up next is a very busy and wild mitten that I wish I actually owned. I just love the rainbow color. This time I added a little one of our stitched ovals to the center with a greeting from our Inside Greetings holiday set, and then to create the background I repeatedly die cut rainbow snowflakes and added the rainbow like cuff using little 1/8 inch strips of paper that I had cut and adhered to a piece of printer paper before running it through my die cutting machine with that cuff die. And then I layered it with the warm wishes stamp set or greeting cut with our heartfelt greeting stamps, which I die cut with a shortened version of the little pennant there from our notebook photo corner dies, and then added the little snow white jewels there from our store. I just love how bright and happy it is. Next up is an everyday card without the mitten, just using some of the decorative elements from that woolen mitten die, including the poinsettia and the holly. And this time all the elements were started with white cardstock. I inked up the flowers with spun sugar distress ink and the holly leaves with twisted citron. And then I heated them up with my heat gun so that they were fully dry before going over them with some Copic markers from my stash to accentuate those vine details. I used the R81 and R83 markers. And I started with the darker one and then went over with the lighter one just to kind of bleed out some of those colors and make them a little less harsh lines. But it just really accentuated those vein details, excuse me, not vine. And then I heat embossed the greeting Happy Holidays from our holiday greeting set using some pearlized embossing powders there over some colored dye inks. Just using some Versamark in between the layers while it was still in my MISTI. Next up is a really fun cookie set, holiday baking set called Baking Spirits Bright with a little gingerbread, the candy cane cookie, the snowman cookie, the tree cookie, a snowflake cookie, and then a glass of milk and a little mug of hot cocoa together with the mitten, the bell, and the little gingerbread house cookie. And then the little faces you can put on the mugs and glasses or any ornament, or not ornament, any cookie you'd like. And then a bunch of punny greetings and some candy canes and such. This coordinating dies. Up first, I have a little set of gift cards. Back before I started this company, I had a tradition of always making the neighbors cookies every year. I haven't been able to be as good about that in recent years, but I plan to get back to it someday. And so I made these little gift tags with that in mind, where they're just say handmade for you with love. And I paired the little pattern papers from our All Is Bright paper pack and the little tags from our mini Matte and Tag 1 dies, I believe. And I didn't add the little faces this time to the mugs. I decided to leave them open. Personally, I actually would probably go back and add the faces later, but I wanted to show people that don't like faces. There are some people out there that really dislike faces on inanimate objects, and so I wanted to show that it's possible to take them off. And then here's a card using the wood grain embossing folder in the background. I started out with a piece of craft cardstock, and then I ran over it with a distress crayon from Vintage Photo Distress Crayon, and then rubbed it in with my finger to just really accentuate the wood grain texture there and make it pop. And then I went over it with some of the distress inks as well, just to rub them in on the edges to create the look of like a wood tabletop. And then I created little red plates using the Infinity dies by Hero Arts, the circle Infinity dies. And I started by cutting red circles from cardstock. And then I took, instead of using one of my cutting plates, I used an embossing pad, and I impressed one of the smaller circle dies into the center to create the look of a little like saucer in the background. And then to really accentuate the saucer look, and create a little depth and shadow, I then cut that same circle out of masking material and inked it up with a darker red ink in the center to really accentuate, make it look like a plate. And all I had left after that was to stamp the cute little greeting, You Bake Me Happy, from the Baking Spirits Bright stamp set, paired with a little pennant there from our notebook photo corner dies. Here's a fun and punny card. I started by watercoloring my little frames there with Daniel Smith watercolors onto watercolor paper. And then when it was completely dry, I heat embossed the words, You Bake the World a Better Place, minus the word bake. That was the word bake actually is die cut using our loopy letters dies. And then the rest of the elements were just little stamped images from the Baking Spirits Bright. I actually had watercolored this panel, I want to say 4 years ago, and I've been having it in my stash just ready to put to use on a card for years, so it was good to use it. Here is a card using all of the wintry cookies, like the mitten, snowman, and snowflake together in a row, inking up behind them with some worn lipstick distress ink and adding some glossy accents to the icing. And then I stamped all the words Sugar and Spice Make Christmas So Nice in a row there underneath them. And then I added the little scalloped edge there using our slimline pennant dies and put little peppermint candies in each of the scallops and added glossy accents. And then I used for the bottom some sleek striped paper and a blue to match. Although I will say the blue pattern paper wasn't quite a perfect match, so I went and added some distress inks along the top just to try to tie it in a little bit better. For this card, I started by die cutting the 6 little stitch circle frames using our window trio dies, which I cut twice. And then I added the stitching to the top and bottom using the stitched edge from our ribbon and lace border dies, and added the little colorful stripe pattern paper from our, I believe that's from the All Is Bright, yes. And then I added the little plaid background tone-on-tone prints also from All Is Bright. And then just filled the little windows with the cute elements and heat embossed the Sweet Christmas Wishes also from the Baking Spirits Bright set. Up next is a fun card using the gingerbread, all the gingerbread images. This time I used the Sugar and Spice Make Christmas So Nice stacked rather than side by side. And I used the pattern paper here from our All Is Bright paper pack. The candy cane stripe and the little gingerbread just went perfectly. And then I added the little boy and girl gingerbread from our Christmas cookie set together with the gingerbread trees, gingerbread house, and candy canes and little peppermints from our new Baking Spirit Bright set. And then I inked up behind them with some tumbled glass distress ink and added the little snowy powdered sugar hill from our slimline nature border dies. And my last card using Baking Spirits Bright, I wanted to create the look of a cookie sheet. So I pulled out Hero Arts Infinity dies in the rounded rectangle dies and ran 2 of them through at the same time to create the lip of my cookie sheet using some metallic silver cardstock, and then ran it through a second time to create the back. And then the 2 little handles for my cookie sheet are using our notebook photo tabs, not photo tabs, just tabs die. And then the little banner there is from our Brilliant Banner 2 dies. And the background, I used some pattern paper from our Joyful Holiday paper pack to look like a little red and white tablecloth. And that is everything for the holiday paper pack. I just filled it with some cookies looking like they've been decorated for Christmas. Next up, I have our little new Dachshund Dachshund stamps with the little cute doggy and his little sweater and dog sweater and a little beanie cap there, and has a little Santa cap and reindeer ears, and then the dashing through the snow pun. And here we have a card with them all stacked up in a row in the blue, pink, and green dog sweaters here. I used the little stitched edge there from our slimline basic border dies on either side, and then paired it with some scallop colorful pattern paper from our holiday cheer paper pack, and a matching scallop along the bottom from our slimline basic border dies as well. I love how bright and colorful this turned out. Next up is another holiday card, this time them racing around a snowy hill. I again put them in green, blue, and red sweaters with the little Santa caps trailing behind them, and added the little snowflakes here from our layered snowflake dies, and added the little white dots of snow using a white gel pen, and the pattern paper in the background is also from our holiday cheer pack. And some little jewels in the center there in the middle of my snowflakes for some sparkle. And here's an everyday card using the Dachshund Dachshund card stamps, paired with the little puppy parent stamps and doghouse from Puppy Parents. And then the little background there has been added the stitched clouds using our fluffy cloud dies together with the hello word die and the fence, our butterflies from our spring showers, and the fence from our picket fence dies. And then the little grass there along right over the fence is also from the picket fence, which I flicked on color using Blick Studio brush markers for that particular card. Next up, I have a fun Hanukkah stamp set called Love and Light. It has the beautiful Happy Hanukkah there, the 9 candles shaped in the shape of a heart in place of a menorah. And then a little Star of David banner here, a dove with the olive leaves, more olive leaves here for either side, a bottle of wine with a wine glass, some pastries, and you can also spell out love and light. I had to separate them out just to squeeze where I could, love and light there. And the little wine can go on the wine bottle. You can also put the Star of David on the wine bottle if you'd like. And there's the dreidel there. And then there's a bunch of little cute sparkles for the background to go with the whole love and light theme. Nice large die set to match. My first card uses that those heart candles in the background there. I paired our frilly frame lattice dies, which I ran through my die cutting machine twice side by side to do the horizontal orientation that bleeds off the edge here, and it correlates perfectly with the dotted diamond dies in the background. To get the candle pieces to perfectly align every time, I use this little, I cut out from cardstock, scratch cardstock, little negative space so that I could align them, because the die individually cuts out each of those candles, which is kind of a fun detail. But rather than having to guess where they go, I use this little template. Then I use the little olive leaves, Happy Hanukkah, and the dove holding the olive branch to decorate the rest of my card. I popped up the dove with some foam tape to make him stand out. For my next card, I have another card. I'm using the candles in the shape of a heart. I started by inking up my white cardstock with Salty Ocean and prize ribbon and chip sapphire inks along the edges, and then I went and added little dollops, little drops of the gold glitter stickles and add glossy accents to the tops of my candles there to make them look like they're flickering, and stamped the love and light from the set onto one of our new Brilliant Banner 1 dies. And yeah, it's a kind of a clean and simple card, but I just love the way it turned out. Here's a Happy New Year card. I thought that the wine glass and bottles could also become champagne glasses and champagne bottle. I stamped my background using Gina K inks together with the end of a pencil eraser from a number 2 pencil. I just would dip it into the ink pad and dip it onto the card, dip it into the ink pad and back to my card. And it created this beautiful like confetti background. And then the very last color I did after it was all dry was using it with Versamark ink and some bronze embossing powder. And I also used that here along the bottom using just a scrap left over from another card that I had just shared, using our slimline pennant dies, using a scallop border from that. And then the Happy New Year was also heat embossed in the bronze embossing powder using our holiday greeting stamps. I actually really was pleased with how quickly and cute that came out. Here is a card using the love and light and the little Star of David banner together with the dove. I started by inking up behind each of the little stars without gluing them down. I would just kind of hold them up and try to figure out, so some of them are a little off, but I would ink up behind them using the scattered straw and a little bit of mustard, mustard seed embossing powder, and then in between them I came back with the Salty Ocean and the prize ribbon for the night sky, and then added the little dots of white for snow or stars, whatever. In this card, I inked up my background using the peacock feathers, Salty Ocean down to the prize ribbon, and then when it was completely dry, I covered it in some like anti-static powder and then stamped it with these little Star of David repeatedly in the Versamark ink and created like this scattered background print. And then I heat embossed them with clear embossing powder, and then die cut the whole outside edge with a stitched edge using our frilly frame quatrefoil die, and then added the little gold metallic heart behind there using our stitched heart 2 dies, and heat embossed the Happy Hanukkah again using Hero Arts bronze embossing powder. For this card, I created like a little tabletop scene using the wine glass and pastries and bottle and the little olive leaves and branches and the little dreidel there, and scattered some gold jewels just to add a little interest, and added the dove up in the top corner. Again, heat embossing the Happy Hanukkah in the bronze embossing powder. It's just like become my new favorite. And then for the background there, I used our dotted diamond portrait dies together with a stitched rectangle cut from white cardstock, and then added on top of that the navy scallop frame from our mini matte and tag 3 dies. So next up, I have a closer look at the new dotted diamond dies. They are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. One is, of course, the portrait or vertical orientation, and one is the landscape horizontal. So you have both styles of cards covered. So here's just a look back at some of the cards I created using those dotted diamond landscape dies. It's kind of hard to see them on camera sometimes, but the texture is really beautiful in person. I just have to catch the light right. And here is a closer look at those portrait dies. I was actually trying to use the horizontal more because I knew a lot of the design team was going to be featuring the portrait style, so I have less portrait here to show you. And then here is our new Brilliant Banner 1 dies. I realized I accidentally forgot to pull the banner 2 and pulled 2 banner 1s, but they are a layered banner that has little pieces there to go on the little side there. And I found myself really gravitating towards our banner basic stamps, but I always found that I was stamping them in a tone-on-tone ink and coloring them to do like a no-line coloring. So I'm loving these new banners to kind of fill that gap that I felt like I always had. And here are some examples using that Brilliant Banner 1 die that can be flipped either direction and work well. And I have a little trick that I share on our post for day 1 on how to curve your sentiments perfectly to match. So this banner also can go either direction, but for some reason I used them all in the same direction on this particular set of cards. That wraps up our closer look at our holiday 2023 release. I hope you will join us on our blog to help us celebrate our 8th birthday blog hop, and thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.